It's Sunday, October 8, 2023, and my apiary is sorely neglected. And that's largely because, it's partially because I've been kind of lazy, but mostly because it's been raining for over a week, I think. I think we've gotten more rain in the last 7 days than we've had all summer since the snow went in last spring. It's been quite a dry summer, although, you know, wet enough because I did get a really good harvest. But I'm back out today. It's not an incredibly warm day. It's long pants season now, at least for the time being. So the season of shorts might be over. You see I've got my syrup tank here, and it's still got the syrup in it that I mixed a week ago because I mixed that syrup and then it started to rain, and I don't really care to come out here in the rain and fill pails. Maybe I should have, but it was cold too. It was cold. It's starting to get down to the freezing point, or maybe even slightly below at night. But most of the bees have been fed. This row and this row have had 2 pails, 2 of these 2.5 gallon pails, and that should be enough for them for winter. I'm going to pick a sunny day, which is not today. It was sunny earlier on, but I think it's maybe going to cloud up and rain again. But in the near future, I'll pick a sunny day and we'll dig down into a couple of these maybe, and look and see what they look like inside, which I have done that in the past. I don't do that as, you know, a regular thing, but I think it's interesting to see that. It's just interesting to see a box with no brood in there. So this row, however, this row has had only 1 pail, and that's a problem because it's cold now. It's late and it's cold. So I'm going to fill those pails. We're going to leave them with a prayer, and we're going to hope for the best because they may not have what they need for winter. The pallet hive way over in the corner there, I think it needs another pail as well. Yeah, the colder weather, the fall shutdown really caught up on me. It really snuck up on me because we had very, very nice weather right up until the day it just started raining. It just rained and rained and rained and rained. I can't believe how much it rained. I'm also going to check in on the nukes that are over on this side. I can see a number of empty jars. There's some nukes here. There's 2 empty here. There's one that's almost empty and one that's half. If they've got half, I'll leave it with them because they may be plugging out already. If they're emptying that jar, they should have some more because they're obviously enjoying it. So that's what's on the docket here today. Somebody still has to come and clean up my apiary. I'm not sure what they're waiting on, but I wish they'd show up. Then it's the whole big job of dealing with the pails again. Fortunately, I didn't use these pails, so they should be able to just put back in storage. But the rest of them are going to have to be emptied and washed and decked up on pallets for storage for the winter. Yeah. So I haven't been doing obviously any apiary work this past week. I worked in the honey house quite a bit, just tying up loose ends, finishing off extracting, finishing off, you know, cleaning up and reorganizing after extracting. And for the last few days, I've actually gone in there for a few hours and packed my comb honey. And that's going pretty good. I should end up with a couple 100 trays of comb honey, which is usually approximately what I'll harvest. And I put a little video on that that I'll link here at the top. You may have seen it already, but I did a video for a guy down east that's kind of, you know, I think he's searching for his path in beekeeping, and I just felt that making that video for him might help him with some of the roadblocks that people might assume are there for comb honey. And I'll go into that just a little bit. my theory on comb honey, because I have plenty of work here, I have plenty of work here. You know, I have to satisfy my requirements, I have to produce, you know, most of 10,000 pounds of honey every summer. So that keeps me going, especially every year. I get older every year, and it just gets more difficult. So I like producing comb honey. I have a reasonable little market for it. Not the strongest market, but I don't really pursue it. It's just to order, right? And there are a lot of really good tutorials on comb honey. There's some good, really good books on it. And I know one of the good online references for it. I know Gus Mitchell does some really good videos on describing how he does comb honey, and I really appreciate that kind of thing. However, my comb honey is kind of a best effort comb honey because I'm concentrating on all this. I'm concentrating on making bees, and I'm concentrating on making honey, and then the comb honey is just kind of, it has to be one of those processes that doesn't take any extra time and effort from me, because I can't stand anything more. Packing it in the fall is always the biggest piece of extra work that it causes. But I just use foundationless frames in my hive, and you'll have to watch that little video for some of the details. I don't use any fancy hog half comb. I think I should use hog half comb, you know, for I think obvious reasons, but I don't. And Ross rounds, I tried Ross rounds one year, didn't work for me, and it's just one of those things that's more work than I'm willing to put into it. So I've taken on the best effort kind of honeycomb production, and it always works pretty good for me. You know, I get a good little comb honey harvest, and it doesn't take a lot of cycles away from my work day or my thought process. You know, I don't have to worry about my comb honey too much. I just kind of put the boxes on, and when I take the boxes off, I look in there and see what the bees did. I don't stress about it too much. So the reason I'm going into all that is that while producing a really premium comb honey, maybe in a hog half comb or maybe in a Ross round or something, that's fantastic. If you can do that, if you want to do that, by all means, I'm 100% behind doing that. There's certain things you could do. You can go to competition with your comb honey, so there's all kinds of different things that you need to be mindful of, and how you produce it and how you cut it and how you package it, and that's great. You know, that kind of stuff is really interesting, and it's a great endeavor for somebody who has the time and energy for that kind of thing. I'm spread too thin here for that. And I find that the process I've been using for the last, I'm going to say 8 years or so, it actually produced some pretty good comb honey. It's not maybe as reliable. I'll pull out frames that I put in there, and they're built all crazy. I can't really package it that way. So I end up crushing a lot of it and throwing it in my wax spinner, and I just extract the honey that way. Some of the frames I'll just put in my end cap, or I'll throw it in the extractor, and then I just jar the honey. So it's no problem. I haven't lost anything. But the comb honey, you know, you can get a premium for that stuff. A deep frame, I can make $120 on a deep frame, if the bees draw it nicely, which it's the exception rather than the rule. And also I'll throw in there that I am not suggesting that everybody's flow is appropriate for comb honey. Not everybody's nectar source is appropriate for comb honey. And here's my take on that. Having a nectar source that doesn't granulate really fast is a benefit, because it's a natural product. You cut it, you put it in the tray, and it kind of just, you know, you can freeze it to sort of prolong the time that it takes to granulate, which I keep mine in the freezer until it's sold. So that's one thing. And if you have a flow that's not especially strong, you might have difficulty making comb honey. You get a lot of travel stains as the comb sits in the hive. They just may not draw it and cap it nicely for you. So I'm not suggesting that what I do is going to work for everybody. I'm just sharing what I do, right? And if you feel led to try it, then by all means try it. And I believe the nice thing, if you're going to try what I'm doing, the really nice thing is that there's very little effort to it. So there's almost no expense, and very little effort, and there's no risk, because if it doesn't work out, you just crush the stuff and strain it, put it in a jar. So I can feel it's actually starting to rain right now. Oh man, I wish we could get out of this cycle of rain. It's maybe only about 10 C out here. It's not a warm day, but it's not especially windy. A little tiny breeze going. So I really would like to fill some of these pails and jars. So I think I'm going to get at it. Stop talking so much. I don't know. I don't know about the rain though. Pretty discouraging. You know, it's always, well, tomorrow's going to be better, but tomorrow turns into a week and a half. So we'll see. Let's go over here and fill some pails. You know, another point about this weather is this is a really good time to move bees. It's a little too warm, I suppose, but from just moving them in the apiary, it's not that bad. You can see I have a lot of empty spots here, and I like to consolidate the pallets prior to moving them in for the winter. I think for obvious reasons, and my contention on moving bees a short distance, people talk about putting leaves and stuff in front of the entrance. That's fine. I've never tried that, but I just wait for a situation where the bees haven't flown for a day, because I've noticed that if the bees go from day one of flight through that night, and if it's too cold perhaps for them to fly the next day, then they go through another night. If you move them from, you know, just a short distance here in the apiary, that during that day of no flight, they don't remember very well where they live by the following morning. So you can see that that's a night and a day and a night, and by the next morning, they're generally fine to go wherever they want, or wherever you want, and they won't fly back to where they were, because their memory seems to be only about that long. So not a big fan of cold weather, but that's one of the benefits, I suppose, is that I can move my bees whenever and wherever I want. I'll give this a little tug. It's got water on it, so. Oh, son of a gun, that's got syrup in it. So does that. Why is that? Okay. I'm not sure why these pails have syrup in them. That's disconcerting, because maybe I filled them and I forgot, which is disconcerting. And if I didn't fill them, then why haven't they taken the syrup? I need to check. See, that one's empty. I need to check the screens to make sure they haven't, the sugar didn't precipitate and block the screens. But I am going to wear a veil. I'm crazy, I'm not stupid. So I decided to actually wear my jacket. It's not warm, so I'm not going to overheat in the jacket. I love this jacket. This is, I bought this from Foxhound Bee Company online, and I don't remember what I paid, but you know, when it comes to nice equipment and stuff, it doesn't much matter. I have not owned it or worn it very long, so I can't really say how long it's lasted, how long it will last. But I like the design. This pocket, I have a couple of Ultra Breeze jackets, and those are about the highest quality jacket I could imagine. They're made domestically, and now my cell phone's a little bit big. It's a fairly good sized cell phone. It barely goes into that pocket there. The Ultra Breeze, that pocket's a little bigger. The Ultra Breeze jacket's the only one I know of that has mesh pockets. These pockets and these pockets, everything are mesh. I love the color of this. Just looks so great. And I'm not being paid by them, okay? As with everything else on my channel, stuff I like and stuff that works well and stuff I enjoy using. That was a low-flying bird right there. I just like to share with you. So, and sizing, you can see I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", and you can see how big around I am. I bought the biggest one they have, and this is a 5X jacket. If I were to buy another one, I would not buy bigger than a 4X. So if you're going to buy one of these, you've got to be a really big guy to need a 5. I'm glad they make a 5 for a big fella, but I think I would buy a 4 if I were to be able to do it over again. Cross-border shipping is always, you know, you take a risk, because sending things back and forth across the border is cost prohibitive and a huge pain in the backside. So anyway, just a little plug for this jacket I really enjoy. And again, I don't know how long it'll last. I got a little bit of syrup on it the other day, but it hasn't gotten super dirty like a bee suit generally does. Done the feeding I'm going to do today, and this will likely be the last round. I can't imagine them taking a lot more syrup. I just hope they have enough. But as I mentioned, the next nicest day, which this might be the next nicest day, could be the last nicest day, I will dig down in here and check. But for right now, I'm just going to clean up here a bit. There's been way too much going on, and haven't put anything away. So I'm just going to clean up here. It's a decent day to work out here. It's not windy. It's sunny for the most part, and it's not super cold. It's cold enough that the bees aren't flying much, so that's nice. I'm not being pestered by the bees right now. I don't need to wear this jacket, but I'll just put it on just in case. Sometimes when you pull the jars off, the bees really tie into you. Anyway, that's it for today. So hopefully I can catch you up again. And until then, take care and have fun. It's Monday, October 9, 2023. It is a beautiful day. It is a bit cool. We have a north breeze going here, breezier than yesterday, but not too uncomfortable for a Canadian. But boy, full sun, and we haven't seen that in probably 8 or 9 days. Certainly not all day. I'm just inspired by the nice weather, and I've been cooped up inside working in the honey house all week. And so I've inspired to come and clean up the apiary. There's boxes and lids and queen excluders, and there's a pile of bee escapes, and you can maybe see my pro nukes off in the distance there, the colorful boxes. I did pick up my nukes and whatnot yesterday, so I'm just going to finish that. I think I'll put some plastic wrap around those just to keep the pallet together. Sometimes the wind blows them over, and sometimes just moving them, the boxes fall over. So I'll just wrap them on there because they'll be there until May anyway. So anyway, that's really all that's going on here. Nothing too exciting, to be honest. The bees are flying, and again, I don't remember the temperature, but I don't think it's over 10 C. So for the metrically challenged, that's 50 F, I believe. But the bees are definitely flying in this weather. Yesterday, I was out here working, and I saw a number of bees on the hives with pollen, good gobs of pollen on their legs. It was kind of weird. I didn't expect that this time of year. So I found the limitations. I'm looking at something here. I found the limitations yesterday of my syrup hose, as far as I've been talking about pressure relief and managing the pressure in the hose. And it's not kind of a structural hose. It doesn't even have a pressure rating written on it. And feeding bees across the yard here, and the pressure almost completely went away. And I come back here, and there's about a 12-inch split in the hose near the trailer, and about 15 gallons of syrup on the ground. So, you know, it's still a mess over there. It really kills the grass when that happens. So boy, I've had trouble this year with stuff like that. I've lost a lot of syrup because you may recall earlier on, my tank had a crack in the fitting on the tank, and it dumped a bunch of syrup on the ground right over here. So I've lost syrup there too. Yeah, so I got to get at this. Me just walking around putting things. It's the definition of a beekeeper: picking things up and putting things down, and putting things on top of other things. That's beekeeping. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me. So this is in my apiary camper, which you don't see very often. Just storing things away here for winter. I've got my solar wax melter there. And yeah, it's got crud in it, but if you don't clean it out when it's hot, it's all kind of a solid mess. It'll wait till spring. And this is one of my favorite things about Pro Nukes, is I've got 10 in a stack here, and they nest really nice for storage. Jesters, you can't do that. You'd have to unfold them to get any kind of efficiency in storage. Jesters have their place, and they cube out really nice because they're square. I think they're probably more robust in the long term than the Pro Nuke. But for what I do, the Pro Nuke suits me quite well. Yeah, so this is my veils, jacket, stuff. Just a bunch of random stuff here. My smoker lighting station, all the half-burnt smoker fuel. And I used to do my grafting here, but I don't do that anymore. I do it in the cab of that little truck that's sitting out there. It's nice and warm in there. So yeah, just a bunch of random storage, a bunch of foamies here. And see the Pro Nukes, they contain things like entrance reducers and stuff like that. There's more Pro Nukes here. Anyway, got to keep going at this, cleaning up, getting ready for winter. Well, I've been at this a little while. You can see the new tripod here. Nice and tall, isn't it? And I got most of this equipment moved away from in amongst this these colonies. This is a representation right here. So let's go and take a look at that, and I'll kind of tell you what this represents. There's a lot to do yet. I've got some of this equipment stashed away for the winter. All this needs to be organized, consolidated onto various pallets. Now, look at these nukes. I mean, look at these colonies. Some more active than others, but they're really going at it today. And I think it's about 11C. These jars, these are ones I filled yesterday, and they're kind of cloudy. I'm wondering if they're precipitating too much here. And I don't see syrup there, so I might have to address that. But I want to show you this. So this is the first one, and then we see everything down here, and everything there, and everything there. That's this year's increase. That's my grafting program. I haven't counted. There's about 100. Almost all of them are 6s. There's a 4 here. There's a 4 over here. And I've got a couple of 4s. Behind me. But anyway, look at these bees. And I was watching them yesterday. They were bringing pollen in. It's quite remarkable. They're banging into me. And 100% of the resources here, with the exception I think of a couple of colonies that got culled out late in the season. 100% of the resources here to make these nukes came from the zombie hives. And there's a story behind zombie hives if you don't recognize that. But I'm not going to go into it right now. Other than just zombie hives are just colonies that didn't show any promise but weren't dead. So I kept them around. I'm definitely going to have to check. Well, they're coming out of there. I don't see any drippage though. I guess it's precipitating, which is weird because it sat in the tank for a week. The problem is, you know what I did? Usually when I serve my syrup, you can see the agitation circuit that goes up. Usually when I serve my syrup, that circuit is partly open, so there's some agitation as I fill the jars. And this time I left it closed so I could build some pressure in the hose, and which was not exactly the best idea. As I described, I blew the hose. But that means that I was pulling syrup out of the bottom of that tank, and it was super saturated and slushy. So I've just caused myself a whack of work. I poured that syrup into a few of these big pails here too. Oh dear. Okay, well, it looks like I have some work to do here, because these bees need to take feed. No two ways about that. But anyway, I just wanted to take a break. I've moved all the equipment away from here and mowed as best I can. I'll mow again once I move those hives. I leave the mower running on the tractor as I work, so anywhere I drive gets cut. So quite a bit of the main area has already been cut. It's looking nice. So I wish I had done this before. I had to feed my bees a few times because dragging that hose in amongst all the equipment was sheer pain. So I need to get on it better. Just been so exhausted. Okay, so I'm gonna put this down and keep going here. I might have to put my jacket on and fix up some of these jars. I don't know how. I don't know how to do that. I have to pour it out and get some better syrup in there. I don't know how to do that. I mean, logistically. Oh well. Clever guy, I'll figure it out. It's Thursday, October 12th, 2023. Now, this is midday here now, and when I left the house, it was only showing about 11 degrees C. That's I don't think that's even 51F. However, this sun, it's getting lower in the sky, and it's blinding me. It's very hot. So the apiary is abuzz. This is almost full flight here, which is really nice to see. And I just now noticed I have my pollen substitute feeder over here on a pallet. It's been there all summer. I just didn't get around to putting that away. It's quite water resistant, quite weather resistant, so nothing gets in it. And the bees are all over that, taking that pollen supplement. So who knows, maybe the pollen I saw coming in the other day was my feeder. I'd forgotten about it there. Now, I'm late on my feeding, I'm late on my treating. Well, not really late on my treating, but I'm going to do some oxalic acid vapor here soon. I'd like to get my bees moved home so I can do all the colonies here, but that means I need to do that. I need to get the colonies home. Maybe that'll happen next week. I'd like to have some cooler weather so the bees are in the hives. I'll be using my short trailer. I think you can see it there. Yeah, there, it's got the tank on it. And you can tell I can't even see, the sun is so bright in my eyes. So that means I can't haul my bees and my tractor. So again, I'm going to need to drive the tractor over. It's only 3 or 4 miles. So I need to drive the truck over, pull the trailer, drop the trailer, come back, get the tractor, drive the tractor over, load the bees, drive the tractor back, get the truck, go back and get the bees on the trailer. And usually I don't do that in one day, but I can do it in one day. There's not often a push if I time it right, because if the weather is cool, the bees don't fly anyway. So the key is that between the time I pick up the bees and put them on the trailer and get the trailer home, there has to be no flight weather in there. So they stay in the hives on the trailer. And I can usually manage that this time of year because it's getting pretty cool. So get those home, and as you've seen in past years, I'll stack them up here. I'll be done managing them by that point. And so I'll stack them up here 2 pallets high in rows, and then I can do my oxalic acid vapor nice and swiftly in that configuration. And when I do stack them, I'll be taking these stands away that I've got on my first couple of rows, so that everything's sitting on the ground. I'll put the stands away for the winter and get those out again in the spring. Today, what am I doing here today? I want to check these jars. I had quite a bit of precipitation in my jars that blocked the screens, so I want to check some of those that might look like they've been blocked, and take care of that issue. But also today, I want to check a couple of colonies. I do have to open everything again because I have apivar in there. That needs to come out anytime now. So I need to do that. And what I thought I would do for your edification as well as mine is I'm going to choose a couple of colonies and I'm going to do a deep dive. I'm going to dig in there. I'll show you what's in there, show myself what's in there. I think I know what I find. I know what I hope to find, but I'm not sure what I'm going to see. So we'll have to do that. Because really, other than that cold, rainy week, we've had some pretty nice weather so far this fall. So that nice weather means brood, right? So we'll do that together. So that's about all that needs to be done this fall. There's still honey house work to do. I'm still cutting comb in there. I need to go back in there right now and cut comb. It's hard to work inside when it's a nice day. You know what they say about making hay while the sun shines? Well, same goes for working bees. I always want to work bees on a nice day. And you don't always get that chance, but you try to. This plan to go into these hives today, I'm really afraid to do this because the bees are not happy this time of year. I've tried to wait for a really sunny day. If they're flying, that's a good thing. I'm wearing long pants. I'm going to dress up in my jacket, start the smoker, and I'm getting prepared to get stung a number of times. And that's what's going to happen. So I hope you enjoy this, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to enjoy parts of it. So let's just do it. Okay, I've got the gloves as backup, just in case. Get the pail off. Make sure I got the smoker tuned up here. That pail's empty as I expected. Oh, dumped the water down the hole. That wasn't very good. Okay, sorry bees. So I'll just put a feed plug in that, a yellow plug, when I'm done, because the pails are empty. I plan to take the Apivar out while I'm here. Now, these two colonies, this one and that one, I'll show you both. I want to look in these because this was something a little different this year. You may or may not remember that video, but I had a major nosema infection this spring. Major nosema infection, like 50 million spores. And I went through an extensive refresh project, and that included culling brood combs, melting down the wax, pulling all of the frames from the brood chamber that didn't have brood on all the colonies. These two colonies, I went one step further. I was talking to my friend James McNally in Alberta, and he said, you know, something you can do that he has experience with. He said, basically take your colonies, and he said, yeah, do an experiment, like take a couple maybe, and shake packages. So what I did was I took this brood chamber off the stand. I put a new box on it, you know, a clean box, a replacement box, and I put 10 frames of drawn comb in that box. And then I took all of the frames from the brood chamber and I shook them, bees and queen, onto that new comb. So essentially I've shaken a package out of my own stock. And so I've been kind of watching these through the summer to see how they progressed, and you know, they did catch up. They were behind a while, but they did catch up. So I want to just do another check on these. The brood that was in these, I did preserve it. I just put it in other colonies, you know, just because I didn't want to waste it. Yeah, I hear them already. I'm very nervous. This is I've worked bees this time of year before, and it's not a fun thing at all. As you can tell, I've got long pants on. You know, things are serious when I got long pants on. I mean, if it was just the weather, I'd still be in shorts. It's not that cold. I'm stalling. Can you tell I'm stalling? I just don't want to be without my smoker. It's my only defense. I'm just going to smoke the neighbors just so their guard bees don't take offense to what I'm doing. Let's pull that cover back away from me so I can get a feel for the bees. I wouldn't say that this is the strongest colony in the world. But we'll check it out. I want to wear my glove to pull that apivar out. See what they've done here? I don't know if you can see it really, but they built all this comb right up to the foamy, the inner cover, and they've actually pushed the toothpick that's in the apivar up into the right up to the inner cover. It's not laying on the hive, the frame top bar anymore, like it was when I put it in. See what they do? I'm probably going to have to just work this and take that out when I get there. Okay, so what are you expecting to see? Start thinking about what you're expecting to see. I've put 5 gallons of 2-to-1 syrup in here over the past 6 weeks. Take into account my latitude, my location. So here's a very heavy frame. It's all capped there. This side is less than capped, but it's full of syrup all the way down. Okay. Here's another one. There's some bees. And what are the bees covering up? The bees are covering up syrup. There's some syrup and there's some pollen there. Okay. There's a drone. There's a couple of drones. There's 3, 4. So there's a few drones in here still. They haven't kicked them all out to die, which I'm kind of surprised the 12th of October. You know, I think the drones should be pretty well gone. Although, you know, I have seen drones in the middle of winter. I don't generally look in the colonies in the middle of winter in the shed, but I have, and I have seen drones. Okay, so what's this? This is mostly empty cells, really. There's some open cells of syrup there. And this one also is empty cells. It's this capped syrup and then empty cells. It looks like they could take a little more syrup. The wax is so cold. I mean, it's not cold, but it's not warm like it usually is. It's very brittle. It's hard to pull that out. Okay. So this is number 4. We're almost to the middle. And again, this is some open cells, mostly capped syrup. See, they've even filled syrup and capped it behind the apivar strip there. And so what I'm really looking for is there any young brood in those open cells? I have not seen any yet. And part of what's telling me a story here is the lack of heat. I can do this and there's not a lot of heat. So what that tells me, you know, no heat, no brood, right? It's something I didn't really tune into as much before I started not wearing gloves as a rule. There's a bunch of drones here. That's surprising. So there's a little bit of pollen. More and more pollen as I get to the center. But again, cluster of bees, no brood. So if you think about the relationship between brood, or no brood in this case, and mites and mite control, then what kind of things do you think about? How are those two things related? We all know that a brood break is very good for mite control, so that's good. So again, mostly syrup, few open cells, tiny bit of pollen. Same on this side. And again, those open cells, there's nothing in them. There's no brood so far. This isn't as bad as I thought it was. The bees are actually behaving themselves for the most part. So another frame of mostly syrup. There's quite a few drones. That's surprising. No brood, just syrup, a few empty cells, a little bit of pollen. Not much pollen at all, really. But pollen is baby food. So if there's no brood, they're not going to be burning through that pollen. Excuse me, drone. Excuse me, honeybee. So again, big frame of syrup, a few empty cells. We're 8 frames in to a 10 frame brood chamber, and not one cell of brood. There's pollen on the legs, but I've got that feeder over there, so that maybe that's what it is. Yeah. And this, you know, you wouldn't call this a box of bees, would you? It's kind of would like it to be a little stronger. The same thing. And these are really heavy, so I'm going through this fast because those frames are really, really heavy. Which is what you want. This box, the box, the lid, frames and all, without the bottom, should weigh nearly 100 pounds. I don't have a scale set up to tell me that. So all I can do is lift it. I can usually tell when I'm moving my bees in. I'm going to turn this around, just so that those open cells are near them. Maybe they can fill them with what, I'm not sure, because I'm done feeding. Oh well, maybe that wasn't thought through. It's kind of the sort of thing I do in the summer. Okay, so I'm content with that. It's, again, not the biggest colony, and again, there's no heat to speak of. If this was a brooding colony, I would feel that heat radiating. So, being that the apivar is now out, this colony is ready for bed. I have managed that colony for the last time until at least April, early to mid-April probably. That was a little bit of a sad thought.